There came a point where I didn't recognize myself anymore. And it wasn't because I had changed too much. It was because I stayed the same. Same habits, same excuses, same routine. On the outside, everything looked fine. On the inside, it was stagnation disguised as normalcy. That's when I decided, either I change, or I keep living below what I know I'm capable of. And I'm not talking about looks or status. I'm talking about identity, clarity, inner strength. I'm talking about building a new version of myself with awareness, routine, and a long-term vision. What I experienced after that made me unrecognizable, because when you change from the inside, everything around you shifts as a result. If that resonates with you, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and come along. Your turning point could start now. But I chose a new identity before chasing new results. What held me back the most wasn't lack of knowledge. It was trying to change my results while carrying the same old mindset. I said I wanted freedom, wealth, security, but I lived like someone who was just reacting. Woke up in a rush, went to bed drained, lived without intention. That's when I realized, before I could reach for anything new out there, I had to decide who I was in here. Not who I wanted to be someday, but who I was willing to embody now. I started quietly affirming who I was, every day, strong, grounded, wealthy, aligned, and I began acting like that woman, not waiting for results to feel different, but feeling different to create new results. Because nothing changes on the outside until you change on the inside. An identity can't be borrowed. It's built, one action at a time. Comment: I choose who I am before the world notices, if you've realized that identity comes before results. 2. I trained my time like a millionaire asset. For a long time, I kept saying I didn't have time. But if I were honest, I'd see my time was being spent, not invested. Hours lost to distractions, autopilot responses, tasks that weren't even mine. By the end of the day, I felt tired and stuck. So I decided from now on my time would have an owner, and that owner would be the woman I'm building. I organized focus blocks, turned off notifications, set clear boundaries, including with myself. I learned that time isn't created, it's protected. And once I started treating it like a valuable asset, my day stopped slipping away. Today, every hour has a purpose. Not because I follow strict rules, but because I respect my path. Comment: my time supports my next level, if you've realized you can't build wealth while wasting energy. 3. I cut out what weakened my presence. At first, it wasn't clear what was draining me. It was just this heaviness, mental fog, a constant sense of being busy, but far from myself, until I started paying closer attention. The open tabs, the repetitive conversations, the automatic commitments, and I saw that the excess was stealing my clarity. So I made a decision. I'm cutting out what weakens me. I deleted apps, muted groups, organized my space like someone honoring the place where they'll create a new version of themselves. Every distraction I removed gave me focus back. Every interruption I shut down made room for ideas. And in the silence that remained, my presence returned. It wasn't about productivity. It was about power. It was about no longer allowing everything around me to have unrestricted access to my attention. Comment: I clear what limits me, if you're also making space for your full presence. Or, I stopped negotiating with my discipline. In the beginning, I thought I needed motivation. That I could only get things done when I was inspired, excited, in the right mood. But that kept me stuck in short cycles of action and relapse. Because motivation fades, and life demands consistency. That's when I realized, what transforms you isn't what excites you. It's what you repeat. I chose simple habits, just a few, and I repeated them until they became part of me. Even when I was lazy, even with no visible results, even when no one was watching. Writing goals, waking up on time, taking care of my body, studying, all with structure, all with intention. Not perfect, but consistent. And that's what changed everything. Because when repetition becomes routine, discipline becomes identity. Comment: my discipline is stronger than my mood, if you've also decided to stop depending on motivation to grow. 5. I started treating money with awareness and respect. For a long time, I avoided looking at my money. I was afraid of seeing too little, ashamed of spending, guilty for wanting more. It was an emotional, messy, unstable relationship, and the more I ignored it, the further I drifted from the freedom I claimed to want. I decided to change that. Started tracking everything, every inflow, every outflow. Not to control things rigidly, but to build awareness. Before any expense, I started asking, does this bring me closer or further from the woman I'm building? Money stopped being a ghost and became a mirror. It started reflecting my choices, my focus, my level of responsibility. And that changed everything. Because if you want more, you have to learn to respect what you already have. Comment, I take care of the money I want to multiply. If you're also choosing a clear relationship with what fuels your freedom. Oh, I began protecting my energy with firm decisions. At first, I thought it was just tiredness. But it was energy leakage. Saying yes out of fear of disappointing others. Listening too much. Absorbing too much. Trying to fix everything. Until I realized, either I protect my energy, or it will be drained by everything that no longer belongs to me. I started saying no more firmly. Closing cycles with clarity. Filtering what enters my space, my day, my mind. That didn't make me cold. It made me present. Because I stopped wasting energy in places that no longer made sense. Today, my energy is my greatest asset. And I only give it where there's real exchange, growth, truth. Comment, I don't negotiate my energy if you've also realized that presence requires choice. 7. I became intolerant of what keeps me small. There came a moment when I realized I was still tolerating too much. Shallow conversations, habits that held me back, choices that made me shrink. It wasn't that I didn't know those things were harmful. It was that I still believed I could put up with it. But putting up with things is not a strategy. It's self-abandonment. So I started cutting. No drama. No warnings. I closed doors, changed responses, reworked my choices. Not because I thought I was better, but because I knew I needed to treat myself better. And that intolerance became self-care. I stopped being too understanding with what sabotaged me. And I became loyal to the person I'm becoming. Comment, I don't tolerate what limits me if you've also realized that growth requires letting go of everything that kept you in the wrong place. 8. I built new patterns before chasing new results. Before any result could change, my patterns had to change. Patterns of thinking, reacting, self-care, spending. I wanted a new life, but kept repeating the same old codes. I thought it was normal to procrastinate, spend impulsively, compare myself, get distracted, until I realized results are consequences. What drives change are the patterns you hold on to daily. So I re-educated my mornings, my habits, my inner dialogue, created small routines that pulled me forward, even on unmotivated days. Over time, what used to take effort became natural, and my identity started to align with the results I wanted to see. Real change doesn't begin with achievements. It begins with consistency. Comment, I'm loyal to my new patterns if you've also decided to stop repeating what kept you from evolving. 9. I learned to hold myself up on ordinary days. It's not hard to feel strong after a win. The challenge is staying strong on the regular days, those when nothing happens. No excitement, no results, no applause. It was in that silence I had to choose. Repeat old patterns or repeat new decisions. And that's when I saw the difference between hype and structure. Hype comes from the outside. Structure is born on the inside, and it's what holds us together on neutral days. It was on the ordinary days that I grew the most. There, away from everyone's eyes, I started solidifying everything I said I wanted. I matured without rush, but without pause. I didn't need big breakthroughs. I needed small, repeated commitments, and that became strength. Comment, I hold myself up even without applause. If you've also realized that consistency on ordinary days builds a solid identity. 10. I realized that becoming unrecognizable means returning to who I've always been. When I talk about becoming unrecognizable, it's not about turning into someone distant. It's about returning to the essence I had hidden for so long. Beneath the rush, the roles, the expectations, there was always a more authentic version of me. And she didn't need to be created, just revealed. Becoming unrecognizable meant stopping the self-sabotage, the silence, the self-neglect. It meant respecting myself, even in the smallest details. It meant remembering everything I already knew but had stopped practicing. This journey wasn't about becoming someone else. It was about finally allowing myself to be fully me. And looking back now, it makes sense. The woman I am today only seems unrecognizable to those who never saw my full version. Comment, I'm coming back to myself. If you've also realized that your best version isn't new, it's the truest one. Today, I look back and I recognize I've become unrecognizable. But it wasn't luck. It wasn't because something external changed. It was because I chose. I chose to leave behind everything that supported the old version of me. I chose to take action without guarantees. I chose to respect myself before being validated by anyone else. It wasn't fast, but it was steady. It was a process of repeating, refining, readjusting. And what happened after that was just a consequence. More clarity, more structure, more results, including financial ones. Because when you align, the world responds. If something inside you lit up while watching this, start today. Not with perfection, but with a decision. The woman you want to be by the end of 2025 starts now. If this video helped you, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. I chose to become unrecognizable. Because when you decide to change, it's not just your bank balance that shifts. It's your energy, your vision, your whole story. And it starts now.